Hi, I'm Eric Jacobson, Catapult Systems here with Lee Harper, and we're here to talk about a little bit about Black Swan events. So Lee, what is a Black Swan event? And I guess I've heard it mentioned a few times in the media, with COVID-19 being one. Why is it one? What is the definition, and how does this fit into that sort of paradigm?
So black swans are rare, right? Most swans are going to be white. And so black swan events are events that are very much outside of sort of the normal way of things. So, and that can be both in positive and negative directions. So classic example of this is the 2008 Great Recession, where there was, large amount of economic contraction. And that meant that conditions were very different to how one would normally expect them to be. And of course, right now with COVID-19, we're all under, or many of us are under a quarantine right now of varying kinds. And so life is very different to how it would normally be outside of this sort of time period.
So I guess given the space you work in, I'm curious, what is the consequence of events like this to predictive models of various sorts?
So it's highly likely that most people's predictive models that were working fine a month or two ago now aren't going to be returning good predictions. They'll still technically work. You can still get predictions, but they'll be much less accurate than they were, right? You can imagine that right now, models might be predicting an increase in sales of ice cream, but I'm guessing that we aren't going out that much, so we probably aren't buying as much ice cream as we would otherwise be buying, at least not here in Texas.
Speak for yourself.
Fair enough. But so the kind of one-liner here is that most people's predictive models are now going to be wrong, or at least less accurate than they were before.
So is there anything that people who are working with those type of models can do about it, either in the short term or longer term?
So in the short term, it's actually often very difficult because machine learning models use historical data to predict what might happen in the future. And of course, there is no historical precedent for where we are right now. So it becomes very difficult to train models on relevant data. People might try and look at mirror events. For example, this is more similar to the Great Recession than, 2 months ago. So you might try and use some data from back then, but there's no guarantee it's going to work. And then in the longer term, many people, when we return to normalcy, might well actually just remove this chunk of time from their data sets and they come to train their machine learning models. It depends on the application area, of course, but it's very common to do that with 08 to 10, just to remove it from your modeling because it can skew the results when life returns to normal.
Interesting. So I know there are a lot of different types of predictive models and machine learning models out there being employed for different purposes. Are there different types that are more or less affected by Black Swan events?
So anything that's behavioral based or that's really looking forward and trying to forecast, they'll probably be affected by these kind of events pretty dramatically. But then there are other kinds of models, for example, in natural language processing or computer vision, which aren't going to be so affected. Language doesn't change dramatically over the course of a few months. And what we see also doesn't change a lot over the course of a few months, unless, of course, the zombies come and we can't recognize those.
It's really interesting. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.